Yes, guys, welcome back to the channel. Merry Christmas. This is number 11 in our Christmas countdown, and it's a bit of a favourite one for me. So I was trying to find a way to link the number 11 and all these different tenuous links to do it, but ultimately I just went with this. My favourite number 11 who's played for Cardiff over my 30 plus years of supporting a football club is Paul Parry. I love everything about the way he used to play the game. He was hard-working, he was skillful, he was direct. He was a real old-school number 11, old-school winger, and that's what I like. But let's talk about him. Parry was born on the 19th of August 1980. He's a former Wales international, as well as playing for Hereford United, Cardiff City, Preston North End and Shrewsbury Town across an impressive 16-year professional career. Parry was born in Chepstow, Wales, where he attended Chepstow Comprehensive School. He began his footballing career at youth level with Bristol City, where he spent a couple of years as a teenager, before moving on to Hereford United in 1997. By 1998, Paul Parry had made his debut for Hereford United at the age of just 17, and he soon became a first-team regular. Very popular at the club, he went on to have many seasons, or several seasons, should I say, of not just creating goals for his teammates, but scoring goals. In the 2002-2003 season, he was the club's leading scorer, including on the 19th of December 2003. Under the watchful eye of then Cardiff City manager Len Lawrence, Paul Parry scored a hat-trick for Hereford in a 7-1 victory over Forest Green as Hereford ran riot. It was not long after this that Cardiff City signed the Hereford United winger after several impressive performances. He also had notable performances in the FA Cup for Hereford against Leicester City. As I mentioned, he was also the top scorer at different times, particularly in that 2002-2003 season. Parry quickly became a firm favourite with the Bluebirds fans, with his direct style, his hard work, his skills. He was also very versatile, played over either wing, up front, and even in an attacking midfield position. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. There was points during his career at Cardiff where he was linked with a move away, particularly during a time when the club had financial problems. He was linked with a move to Yeovil Town, among others, including a move back to Hereford. Ultimately, though, the club sold then club captain Graham Kavanagh, as well as star players like Joby McAnuff and Peter Thorne, which meant that Paul Parry's time at the Bluebirds was prolonged into the Dave Jones era. During the 2007 season, Paul Parry was in fine form, and he actually forced big signing Trevor Sinclair onto the bench due to his impressive displays. It was always his skill set and attributes which made him a popular figure, because when he got the ball, you felt like he was going to make something happen. He was direct and would always look to isolate his fullback and beat a man, get a cross in, get a shot off. He created, he scored. He's a real old school winger. Something that actually, funny enough, we've talked about a lot recently, we really struggle with at the moment, is those out and out wingers, not just at Cardiff, but in the game generally. Everyone plays with these inverted wingers. And I think Paul Parry is a prime example of what a traditional winger can bring you. It's not just about beat your man, cross it. You know, he can score goals, create goals, link up the play. Very, very skillful, very versatile, a teammate's dream, because he would always work back and help the fullbacks. He also, at points, played up front. Towards the end of one particular season, Cardiff had a lack of strikers, so Parry was used predominantly as a striker. He played alongside Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank and Stephen Thompson, and he'd go on to finish as the club's top scorer, along with Joe Ledley with 11 goals in all competitions. As well as all of that, he was part of the historic FA Cup run that got Cardiff City to the FA Cup final. He played a big role in that. He also played in that Chasetown game, which is famous for being Aaron Ramsey's debut at just 17 years old. But I think what people maybe don't realise, some do, some don't, I suppose, is that Paul Parry grew up a Cardiff City fan. He used to travel down from Chepstow and watch as many games as he could at Ninian Park. And he was quoted as saying one of his favourite memories as a Cardiff City fan was that Nathan Blake goal in the FA Cup, famously beat Manchester City. So Paul Parry, Cardiff City was in his blood. As I said, he was part of that famous 2007-2008 FA Cup run. And he was significant in more ways than one, as he returned to his former club to play a game at Edgar Street in the 4th round fixture. He said, when we were drawn and get to face Hereford in one of the earlier rounds of the competition, it was the club that had given me my start in my career. So it was great to go back there. I had a really warm reception. We went there. Graham Turner was still there. It was a nice occasion along the way through the campaign. And I'd say that 2007-8 season may well be the absolute highlight of my career. And look, what a season it was. And I think, as Cardiff fans, it's easy to forget that you never expected to be in an FA Cup final ever. But ultimately, there is a bit of disappointment because you feel that we should have probably got more out of that final. But it is what it is. Paul Parry was a massive part of that run. Paul Parry made over 200 appearances for the Bluebirds in all competitions. He left South Wales to go to Preston in 2009. But I've got to say, he is my favourite number 11. And I know it is different for everybody. And I would like to know yours. You tell me. So from the younger guys and girls, the older guys and girls, who's your favourite number 11 who played for Cardiff? Let me know in the comments. I'm really interested. If you can give me like a memory or a story as well, I'd love to hear them, because it's a really personal thing, and it's just who it is. And for my age, for me, Paul Parry was massive. He talked about his first goal that he scored for the club. He said, I remember my first goal for Cardiff City. It was a bit of a fluke, but they all can, don't they? I had a lot of happy times at Ninian Park. We had a cup run and we played Arsenal the following year, and we were really unlucky not to beat them. He said, I scored my fair share of goals, and it was brilliant to have fans at your back. It gave you a real buzz. I still keep an eye on the results for the club, all the clubs I've played for. But Cardiff is a special part of my life, and it still does to this day, even if I'm no longer playing. And Paul Parry ultimately was a fantastic servant for Cardiff City. He had a fantastic career, and he also, played for Wales. Could he have potentially made more appearances for Wales? It's difficult because he had some real big names in front of him in his position at that point. He made 12 appearances for Wales. Scoring 1 goal, I think, playing off the left or the right, or maybe even centre forward, like the likes of Bellamy and people like this, Giggs, big names. But yeah, and look, just to show the quality of the character, the quality of the player, Paul Parry made 150 appearances, scoring 29 goals for Hereford United. He then went and played 200 odd times for Cardiff, scoring 24 goals, as well as 80 appearances for Preston, scoring 6, and 70 for Shrewsbury, scoring 11. Everywhere he went, he stayed for a good period, at least a couple of seasons. And ultimately, I think that's incredible. And it shows the character of the guy that, he's loyal. He goes there, he does his thing, and he lets his football do the talking. I thought he was a great player. I thought he was a massively underrated player. He was a big part of the FA Cup run. He was just a nuisance to his opponents. He was quick. He was skillful. He had that intensity. And this is another interesting fact, right? He came to Hereford, made his debut for Cardiff, right? Came from Hereford, made his debut for Cardiff, right? He was not ready. He was not ready to play for Cardiff at that point. And he said himself, he said it was a bit nerve-wracking making my debut, play for the City. It was a massive step up for me at the time. I'd been playing for Hereford in the conference, and then you're jumping up 3 divisions to a championship. It's a massive challenge. And he says I was chucked straight in from the off, given my debut, and literally a day after signing for the club against Rotherham, it didn't give me much time to think about it. And this is what I think we're missing now, is they signed him. He was a young guy, skillful, raw. They saw something in him, and they put him in the first team and gave him a chance. Yes, it took him a few games to settle and get going, but it wasn't long before he was contributing and playing and a regular in that first team. If you give young players a go, they will adapt and they will show you what they can do. Cardiff City at the moment have a whole host of young players waiting for a first team opportunity. I just wish we'd give them the opportunity, because I look at Paul Parry, I look at people like Cameron Jerome and many others over the years, even Ernie, when he came back from his loan up in Scotland. They weren't ready for first team football in the Championship or Division 1 or whatever when it was then. They weren't ready. But what they did, they adapted. Young people adapt. It's time for Cardiff City to do what they did back in the day. Give young players, give homegrown players the chance to play for the club. Because one thing's for sure, they care. They've got the desire, they've got the love for the club. They will play for the badge. So let's give them the opportunity. But Paul Parry, a fantastic football career, an incredible servant to Cardiff City. One of those players that got the fans off their feet. Someone who I enjoyed immensely watching. He is my favourite number 11 to play for Cardiff City. But I want to know who your favourite number 11 is. Please come back and join us tomorrow for number 10 in the Christmas countdown, as well as all the other content that we have regularly on the channel. Remember, Cardiff City World, 7 days a week, Bluebirds content, by fans, for fans. Join us, support us, become a member, and get involved. But until tomorrow, I bid you farewell.